So this is some dumb game I've been working on for a little while, and I figured I'd show it off so it doesn't end up in my list of projects that never see the light of day. It's got particles, it has different types of enemies. So far the performance is pretty good, but I also don't have any special lighting in here. You can blow the little guys up to get chain reactions. So this is written in C++, and for the external libraries, it uses OpenAL because I don't want to touch audio. It uses GLFW, so I don't have to touch Windows 32 and it'll handle all the Windows stuff. It uses glad to load OpenGL. And I use GLM for the math library just because it's already the same handedness as OpenGL. It's just nice to not have to convert anything. And then I have a nice JSON file reader so that I can load in my GLTF models easier. And I use STB image because everybody uses STB image. So the maps are made in Trench Broom. It takes entities, it has support for custom triggers, zones, and spawners. So this is what the demo level look like. When the game starts, nobody spawned, but as you walk into triggers, it'll start encounters. So for instance, if I don't want to use an encounter, I can just drag a couple goblins in. I just save the map. I can compile it with a custom compiler I made. And then when I run the game, there's goblins. So another performance thing I do is when it creates a projectile, I'll sweep the projectile in the direction of its velocity, and I'll check when it collides with static geometry, and I'll figure out how long it takes to hit that geometry. That way, every single frame you're not checking is it touching static geometry. You only have to check if it's touching dynamic objects. Just an example of performance. I'm on an i9 and a 4080, so I have a fairly beefy rig, but this spawns 200 enemies, and it's taking about a millisecond and a half. One thing it does is it sends all the bones to the GPU per instance, and I have to batch all of that. And I should also look into multi-threading it. But you notice the enemies aren't clipping into each other too badly. Oh, actually, it's not great right now. But I have a Boyd's-like system where they try to move towards their target, and then they try to take all their neighbors and do a separation force. It's not perfect, but it works. I'll try and see if I can blow up the whole horde. There we go. Right now, spawning objects is really slow, and I need to add a free list for it. The thing I want to touch on is memory management, just because this is something I'm still not quite sure what the best way to go about it is. But I use arenas, where when the game first starts, you allocate all of the memory up front. Where is it? And you should hopefully never call Malik again while the game's running. Right now, the total memory is 128 megabytes. So you have an arena which takes the memory. There's a scratch arena, which is just a linear one. There's a pool arena where it's different chunks and you can free individual chunks. And then there's a stack allocator, which is the same as, which is just a stack. And one thing I do is I keep track of their children and their siblings. So when I run the game, I can print out a big console that has every single arena and how much memory it's using. And then for my logging system, I also make it do different colors. So warnings are warnings are yellow, errors are red, asserts are pink, things like that. So that's pretty much everything I have in it now. I skipped over all the implementation details. Here's a list of things I'd like to work on in the future. Right now I want to improve the performance of drawing stuff because when you start adding 200 enemies, that part is really slow for no reason, especially on older hardware. And then I'd like to get back into the gameplay programming some more, add a couple more enemies, more weapons, see if I can make an actually fun little demo out of it.